Welcome to my channel. Today, we're going to discuss how reinforcement learning changed AI forever. Let's start with a moment that shocked the world. In March 2016, an artificial intelligence system called AlphaGo faced off against Lee Sedol, one of the greatest Go players in history. What made this match extraordinary wasn't just that the AI won, it was move 37. During Game 2, AlphaGo placed a stone in a position that no human player would have ever considered. Commentators were stunned. Some thought it was a mistake. But as the game unfolded, this unconventional move proved to be a stroke of genius, ultimately leading to victory. This wasn't just a machine following pre-programmed rules. This was an AI that had learned to play, to strategize, and to discover creative solutions that surpassed human intuition. This single moment demonstrated that reinforcement learning could unlock capabilities we never thought possible, and it marked the beginning of a new era in artificial intelligence.
So, what exactly is reinforcement learning? At its core, reinforcement learning is a way for an agent to learn through interaction with its environment. Unlike supervised learning, where you're given labeled examples to learn from, in reinforcement learning, the agent must discover what works through trial and error. The framework has four key components that work together. First, there's the agent, which is the learner or decision maker. Then there's the environment, which is everything the agent interacts with. The agent observes the current state, which describes the situation it's in, and then it takes an action, which is a choice from available options. Based on that action, the environment provides a reward, a numerical signal that tells the agent how good or bad that action was. Here's the crucial insight. The agent's goal is to maximize the total reward it receives over time, not just immediate rewards. This is what makes reinforcement learning so powerful. It learns to plan ahead, to sacrifice short-term gains for long-term success. Think of it like a robot navigating a grid world, collecting rewards along the way while avoiding obstacles. Each step teaches it something about the consequences of its choices.
Now let's talk about the reward signal, which is really the heart of reinforcement learning. What makes RL fundamentally different from other machine learning approaches is that there's no teacher telling the agent what to do. There are no labeled correct answers. Instead, the agent learns entirely from consequences. Imagine a robot exploring a maze, searching for treasure. When it picks up a coin, it receives a positive reward, maybe plus 10 points. When it bumps into a wall, it gets a negative reward, maybe -1. The agent doesn't know in advance which paths lead to treasure and which lead to dead ends. It has to explore, make mistakes, and gradually figure out the best strategy. Over many episodes of trial and error, the agent starts to recognize patterns. It learns that certain sequences of actions tend to lead to higher rewards. This is learning from experience in its purest form. No human needs to manually specify the optimal policy. The reward signal alone is enough to shape intelligent behavior. This simple but profound idea that complex behaviors can emerge from optimizing a scalar reward is what enables reinforcement learning to solve problems that would be impossibly difficult to program by hand.
Let's dive into Q-learning, one of the most foundational algorithms in reinforcement learning. The key insight behind Q-learning is that we don't just care about immediate rewards, we care about the total future reward we can expect. A Q value, written as Q of S, A, represents how valuable it is to take action A in state S. But here's what makes it clever. The Q value includes not just the immediate reward, but also the discounted sum of all future rewards if we continue to act optimally from that point forward. Watch what happens when we visualize Q values on a grid. Initially, all values start at 0, but as the agent explores and learns, the Q values begin to converge. Cells closer to the goal develop higher values, shown as brighter colors. Cells far from the goal have lower values. This gradient of values essentially creates a map showing the agent which direction leads to the best outcomes. The magic happens through the Bellman equation. Q of SA equals R plus gamma times the maximum Q of S prime A prime. This recursive formula says the value of an action equals the immediate reward plus the discounted value of the best action in the next state. By iteratively applying this update rule, Q values converge to their true values and the optimal policy emerges naturally. Simply follow the arrows pointing toward higher Q values.
Traditional Q learning works great for small problems, but what happens when the state space becomes enormous? Imagine trying to store a Q value for every possible frame of a video game. That's where Deep Q Networks, or DQN, comes in. In 2015, DeepMind demonstrated something remarkable. They trained a neural network to play Atari games at superhuman levels, using nothing but raw pixel inputs. The DQN takes the game screen, the raw pixels, and feeds them through a deep convolutional neural network. Instead of storing Q values in a table, the network learns to predict Q values for each possible action directly from the visual input. For a game like Breakout, it outputs values for left, right, and fire, and the agent simply picks the action with the highest predicted Q value. But training this wasn't easy. Two key innovations made it work. First, experience replay. Instead of learning from experiences in order, the agent stores its experiences in a buffer and samples random batches for training. This breaks the correlation between consecutive samples and stabilizes learning. Second, a target network. A separate copy of the network that's updated slowly, providing stable targets for the Q value updates. With these innovations, DQN became the first AI to achieve human-level performance across dozens of Atari games, learning purely from pixels and game scores.
There's actually an entirely different approach to reinforcement learning that doesn't involve estimating Q values at all. It's called policy gradient methods, and the idea is elegantly simple. Instead of learning the value of actions and then deriving a policy, why not learn the policy directly? In value-based methods like DQN, you estimate Q values for all actions and then pick the one with the highest value. But in policy gradient methods, your neural network directly outputs the probability of taking each action. Given a state, it might say there's a 60% chance to go right, 25% to go left, and 15% to stay. Then you sample from this distribution to choose your action. Why would you want a probabilistic policy? For many problems, especially games involving bluffing or situations requiring unpredictability, a stochastic policy is essential. Think about rock, paper, scissors. If your policy is deterministic, your opponent can exploit it. But if you randomize optimally, you become unexploitable. The training process uses gradients to adjust the policy. If an action led to a good outcome, increase its probability. If it led to a bad outcome, decrease it. This direct optimization of expected reward makes policy gradient methods particularly well suited for continuous action spaces and complex behaviors.
What if we could combine the best of both worlds? That's exactly what Actor-Critic methods do. The architecture has two components working together. The actor is a policy network that decides which actions to take, outputting probabilities for each possible action. The critic is a value network that evaluates how good the current state is, estimating the expected future reward. Here's how they collaborate. The actor proposes an action based on the current policy. The environment responds with a reward and a new state. Then the critic evaluates whether that action was better or worse than expected. This difference is called the advantage, calculated as Q of SA minus V of S. It tells us how much better or worse the action was compared to the average. If the advantage is positive, the action was better than expected, so we should make it more likely. If it's negative, the action underperformed, so we should reduce its probability. The critic's job is to provide these evaluations, reducing the variance in the policy gradient estimates. Meanwhile, as the actor improves its policy, the critic adjusts its value estimates to match the new policy. This iterative feedback loop allows both components to improve together, combining the stability of value-based methods with the flexibility of policy gradients.
Now let's return to the system that started our story, AlphaGo. What made it so powerful was a brilliant combination of techniques. At its core, AlphaGo uses Monte Carlo tree search, or MCTS. The idea is to explore the tree of possible game positions by simulating many random playouts, building up statistics about which moves tend to lead to wins. But pure MCTS isn't enough for Go. The search space is simply too vast. So AlphaGo adds two neural networks, one to evaluate board positions and another to guide which branches of the tree to explore. This combination dramatically improved the efficiency of the search. Then came AlphaGo Zero in 2017, which took a radical approach. No human data at all. It learned entirely through self-play, starting from random play and improving by competing against earlier versions of itself. Remarkably, it not only matched AlphaGo, it surpassed it, and it learned faster, discovering novel strategies that humans had never conceived. AlphaZero generalized this approach to work on Go, chess, and shogi with the same algorithm, achieving superhuman performance in all three within days. This demonstrated something profound. With enough compute and the right architecture, an AI can discover expertise that took humanity thousands of years to develop to the deepest levels.
Reinforcement learning isn't just for games. It's making real impact in the physical world through robotics. But training robots presents unique challenges. You can't reset a physical robot millions of times like you can reset a game. You can't speed up time, and crashes can damage expensive hardware. The solution is sim-to-real transfer. First, you build a detailed simulation of your robot and environment. In simulation, you can run millions of trials in hours, let the robot fail spectacularly, and iterate rapidly. The robot arm can attempt thousands of grasps, learning from each success and failure. But here's the challenge. Simulation is never perfect. There's always a gap between the virtual world and reality. Differences in physics, friction, sensor noise, and appearance. Policies that work perfectly in simulation might fail when deployed on real hardware. Researchers have developed clever techniques to bridge this gap. Domain randomization varies the simulation parameters during training, making the policy robust to uncertainty. Careful calibration minimizes the physics gap, and gradual fine-tuning on real hardware polishes the final behavior. The results are impressive. Robots learning complex manipulation tasks, locomotion skills, and even dexterous hand movements, all through reinforcement learning. Success rates that start near zero can climb to over 90% with enough training.
Perhaps the most transformative application of reinforcement learning in recent years is RLHF, Reinforcement Learning from Human Feedback. This is the secret sauce behind ChatGPT and other modern language models. Here's the problem. How do you write a reward function for being helpful, harmless, and honest? You can't easily define that mathematically, but humans know it when they see it. RLHF works in stages. First, the language model generates multiple responses to the same prompt. Then, human evaluators compare these responses and rank them from best to worst. Maybe response B, which says, "Let me explain this step by step," is more helpful than response A, which says, "I don't know, look it up yourself." These human preferences are used to train a reward model, a separate neural network that learns to predict which responses humans would prefer. Once you have the reward model, you can use it to fine-tune the language model through reinforcement learning, typically using an algorithm called PPO, Proximal Policy Optimization. The model learns to generate responses that score highly according to the reward model, which reflects human preferences. This is how large language models are aligned with human values. It's not perfect. There are challenges around reward hacking and specification gaming, but RLHF has proven remarkably effective at making AI assistants more helpful, safer, and better aligned with what humans actually want. Despite its successes, reinforcement learning still faces significant challenges. Sample inefficiency is perhaps the biggest hurdle. While humans can learn from just a few examples, RL agents often need millions of interactions to master even simple tasks. This limits applications where real-world data is expensive or dangerous to collect. Reward hacking is another concern. Agents are remarkably creative at finding loopholes in reward functions. If you reward a robot for moving forward, it might learn to flip over and spin in circles because technically that moves the center of mass forward. The sim-to-real gap continues to challenge robotics applications, where policies trained in simulation fail to transfer to the physical world due to unmodeled dynamics and sensor differences. But the frontier of RL research is actively addressing these challenges. Multi-agent reinforcement learning explores how multiple agents can learn to cooperate or compete, opening doors to applications like autonomous vehicle coordination and complex strategy games. Offline RL learns from pre-collected datasets without any additional exploration, making it possible to train on logged data from hospitals, factories, or historical records. And world models represent perhaps the most exciting direction, agents that learn to imagine the consequences of their actions before actually taking them, dramatically improving sample efficiency. The future of reinforcement learning is bright, and the best breakthroughs may still be ahead.
Let's take a step back and appreciate the journey we've covered. In 2015, Deep Q networks proved that neural networks could master Atari games from raw pixels. In 2016, AlphaGo demonstrated that RL could conquer Go, a game once thought to require human intuition beyond the reach of machines. Through the following years, robotics applications brought RL into the physical world, with robots learning complex manipulation and locomotion skills. And in 2022, RLHF gave us ChatGPT, showing that RL could align AI with human preferences at scale. Reinforcement learning didn't just play games, it fundamentally changed how AI learns. Instead of being told the answer, RL agents discover solutions through experience. Instead of being limited to tasks with clear labels, they can optimize any objective that can be expressed as a reward. From superhuman game players to helpful AI assistants, from robotic hands to drug discovery, reinforcement learning has proven to be one of the most versatile and powerful paradigms in artificial intelligence, and we're just getting started. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe to the channel for more AI engineering content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.